Hi there. Welcome to the Bridge Podcast, sharing with you top tips and advice from top employers to help to guide you on a job hunting and career journey. My name is Aji Suragazi. I have several roles in digital marketing, and in today's special episode, I'm here to have a conversation about how to make a switch career from tech recruitment to the software engineering world. Today, I also have exciting news for you. I have Falah Sultan, who is Associate Full Stack Developer from SwipeRx. Hi, Falah. How are you?
Hello, Ajay. Thank you for inviting me. So far, I'm busy doing
Busy?
coding.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And it's kind of different, the activities that I used to do when I was a recruiter. Like I do a lot of talking, and right now I do a lot of thinking without much talking.
Yeah. That's very
Yeah, yeah.
interesting. Okay, great. Then I'm very actually excited to talk to you. And so to get us started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, where did you come from, and how did you come to be here in the software engineering field?
Okay, a little bit about myself. So before I was jumping into software engineering, I was a technical recruiting. So in daily basis, I like look into tech candidate CV and then endorse them to the hiring manager. So I kind of know what is the good CV and not a good one in terms of technical candidates. And then after doing a lot of interviews with the candidate, I kind of developed curiosity to develop application by myself into doing some research about technology. So from that, in the last 1 year, almost 1 year, fully doing software engineering right now and switch my career to be a full-time developer.
Cool. So
Mhm.
you mentioned that you're from those curiosity, and then you are mentioned that you're changing your career into the tech world. So how does the
Correct.
process for you back then to get that journey into the place that you're now?
Yes, I think the exposure that I have in the startup because the demand of software engineering is really high and the supply is really low, especially in Indonesia. Even some big startups taking engineer from overseas. So I think we really need IT talent. The demand is there, the growth is there, the industry is there. So looking at the trend and also after some knowledge that I have in the interview with tech candidates, I start to curious like what code is exactly, what software engineering looks like, and then I use some online platform. Maybe some of you know like Code Academy, HackerRank, LeetCode. It's essentially free, but with ads on. So using that information from the interview and exposure that I got, I start to develop my own code and then start my hello world in JavaScript.
Cool. So you're starting from curiosity and you are
Mhm.
mentioning about your exposure on interviewing people, and then you learn as well in the online and it's free. And I would
Yeah.
like to know more about like how do you get into the IT world, because most employers they want to see some trainings, project courses, or even full-time university degree.
I think in IT world, degree doesn't really matter, I believe, because in my experience as a recruiter, what the user really needs is what the candidates can do. So it doesn't matter the age, degree, training, is it like coming from bootcamp or self-taught? It really doesn't matter. In the end of the day, in IT world, that the user really looking for is what you can do. And my process is because I know the boot camp costs a lot. It costs can
It is cost a
40ish
lot.
or yeah. I mean like for someone let's say junior like me back then, I don't think I can afford that much. And then some of them maybe offer like scholarship but with condition. And I believe the same information that we have on bootcamp also available on the internet. So I initiate to just doing some tutorials on YouTube, and free code camp is also free. And I try to Google everything that I don't know. But what is the most important from learn a new thing is to have a roadmap, right? And to have like what you lack of and someone to oversees what you don't know. So I kind of have some idea that okay, the bootcamp program they hire an individual developer to be the tutor, right? So why can't I just hire the individual developer? So I use Fiverr and hire some Venezuelan guy to teach me how to code. He's really good though, like very experienced. But the thing is, I choose like cheap freelancer,
Mm-hmm.
and turns out the tutor doesn't really speak well in English, so we kind of have a language barrier. So the next time I choose the mentor, I choose someone coming from Indonesia. So I think because we are coming from Indonesia, both of us, we can tackle that language barrier. And when he introduced himself, I kind of surprised them. Like he's still 17 years old, still in high school. Yeah,
Wow.
uh, and already have the confidence to teach me how to code. And when he teaches, his lyric really clear and gives me a lot of resources. And I look also on the news like he got a lot of medal from OSN, Olympiade Science National. So yeah, it's kind of surprising. That's why in the beginning I said age doesn't matter, degree doesn't matter. Even someone coming from high school, if he can code, like he can be a professional developer.
Wow, that's very interesting, brilliant, and out of the box way on how you are trying
Yeah.
to get something that you don't know. And speaking of something that you're trying to pursue, when you are with those people who are mentoring you along the way, your career transition, like did you get what you're actually looking for? Like what did you get back then?
So at first, I need to look in for a tutor that teach me how to work on a particular technology. Back then, looking for Node.js and Nest.js. So the tutor like give me the overview. What is the differences between this framework and other framework, and then gives me the basic on how to connect the back end and the front end, because I think it's better for someone to understand the overall process, even though maybe every developer different, like maybe someone can be only focused on front end or back end. But I think because of, again, I was so curious about how to connect this back end and front end and how to deploy it to the cloud. I learned like a little bit of everything in span of 3 months, and yeah, I get it. But I think what's more important is like I get what I don't know. Like I can see what I don't know. So because I already know what I don't know and I already get the roadmap, the rest of it I Google it. So yeah.
Right, right. That's very quick, fast in a way that you're doing the transition career in 3 months. And speaking of the career transition, you went for it, you focus on learning and improving. But then after that 3 months, you're facing about the prospect or looking, actual finding a job, right? I have a question for you. How did you find the job search, or what is your first opportunity back then? Like, what is the first experience in the professional IT field?
Yes, I think after, let's say after I get some confidence in JavaScript, I start like looking for internship. I believe I believe that everything started with an internship, because uh, from my experience as a recruiter, if you're good in internship, you will get promoted to be a full time. So because I also know like where I'm coming from a non-technical background, and also from non-coding path and non-coding bootcamp path, I don't mind to get internship to learn more about the real world project, and also to get guidance from the senior engineers. So what I did was, because I was a technical recruiter back then at SwipeRx, like I kind of reached out back to my old companies through LinkedIn, and then they give me like a technical test. They want to know like to measure at what level I'm currently in. So so I got that test. It's like a multiple choice, and then I got some scores, and I was categorized to a junior level. And then after internship and 3 months internship, they promote me to be a full stack junior full stack developer.
Cool, awesome. So let's talk about more a little bit about the process when you're reaching out and then you're, working as an intern. Like how was the interview process? How was it for you? What's the biggest challenge back then?
The biggest challenge is to understand previous code, because it's different when you work, let's say, independently, start a new project from GitHub and YouTube, because it all start from scratch and you understand like everything what's going on. But what's difficult when you join a company is to learn others people code, to learn the repository, the existing code. And I ask to a lot of people, and a lot of times I ask like why, how to connect this in this, and then what is this for? Because it a lot takes a lot of time. But I always try to explore by myself before taking their time to ask my question. So usually before I ask my seniors, I already have a list of questions that I want to ask to the senior, so it will make the meeting more efficient.
Yeah. So do you have any tips or lessons that you're, facing back then?
Tips that I have: when you join a new company, never assume. Like, assumption in coding or in IT world is dangerous because it can lead to uh, wrong things, a wrong result. So it's better for you to acknowledge that you don't know something, and yeah, to be resourceful. Like, of course, whatever you learn in the boot camp or tutorials must be different when you join a company, because every company has their own coding style, has their own technology stack, has their own culture. It's better when you join a company, like you empty your glass, like you learn everything again from scratch, because that way it will be easier for you to adapt with the culture, with the flow of the company.
Right, right. Thank you so much for the advice.
Mhm.
You did your first engineering job in tech and you've succeeded in getting the job, and now you're working as a software developer with SwipeRx. I want to know, like, what are the things that you really enjoy about your work? Can you tell a little bit about what it looks like working with the IT team?
Oh, okay. So my mindset when I was working as a software engineer, I always put like this is puzzle, or this is like chess puzzle that I have to solve. So I kind of put some gamification in my mind. So like they usually give me like, let's say, 5 tickets, and then they give it like 2 weeks for me to solve it. And then for sure in the first time, like it was hard, uh, like how to solve this thing, how to connect back end and front end. But when you already solve it, it's like, damn, I got it, like,
Yeah, yeah.
this is the way. And most of the time, the solution is really simple. Like, it's only 2 lines of the code, and then that's it. And it's kind of it's kind of satisfying for me when something stuck and then you solve it. Especially for me personally, I really like front end uh, instead of back end. So let's say when you try to upload an image, but the image is not there, and then I kind of managed to solve the bug. It's really satisfying to see. Sometimes after I solve the bug, the code, like I repeatedly replay it again and again, just to, wow, I managed to do this.
Right.
And that's, yeah, I think it's fun to put gamification on your work.
Gamification. Right, right.
Yeah.
That's a key word right there. So, is there any surprising thing about job in tech? Because you're working with, recruitment, right? And then now you're working with tech. Is there any surprising thing about your work now?
Yeah. One of the most surprised for me, because I can say that deep down I like to talk with people. So my extrovert side is more dominant. But when I join as a software engineer, I only talk maybe like 5 minutes a day, uh, only in the morning to do stand up, and then after that, like focus on code, solving the code on my computer, and googling. And it's kind of rare for me to have a discussion back then, when I was working at like back then when I was working at like as a recruiter. So that's what I have to adapt, because recruitment, we meet with a lot of people, we talk with a lot of people. So in software engineering, it's the opposite. So yeah, that's one thing that I have to adapt.
Right, right. Adaptation is very important, right? And
Yeah.
so you working tech now, like something that is you're doing on a daily basis to keep up with the software engineering field, like any community project or collaboration that you are doing to improve your skills?
Okay. As a professional, after I got some fundamental knowledge on React.js and Node.js, of course, my thought like, what's next? What I need to do to
Right,
keep up with the updates. And what I did is I doing lead code. Lead code is like a platform to give you question. There's a lot of question. There's a lot of problems that you can solve. So it helped my compositional thinking. So like my logic and how to think in code is really necessary to solve some common problems that lead code offers, or HackerRank. HackerRank also solve the same service, gives the same services. And also I read on some Medium update, like some developers like to write on Medium, so I kind of keep up with what's new. And like past few months, like the trend of Web3, and I start to learn like what is Web3 actually like, and what it's used for, and to see if it's related with my interest or not. And then yeah, I think the most important that I do on my research is like how to keep up with the projects that my company use. So the technology that my company use, because I want to make sure that I'm excel at what I'm doing now.
right, right. So just like make sure that curiosity is really aligned with what you're doing at your job, right?
Yeah, that's what I like being a software engineer. You will never stop learning.
Learning,
There's a
learning,
lot of
learning.
things. Yeah, yeah, and you 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 are professionally work to learn.
Yep, yep. So having career in tech now, it's seems very promising. Like you mentioned, it's high demand. And so if you want to plunge into the very different world of coding, we need to remember that while it's more accessible than ever, it's not an easy option, right? So I want to ask
Mm.
you, what are the things to consider before switching career to software engineering or the coding work?
Okay, so to be honest, when I start my Hello World, uh, it's really just out of my curiosity. Like I want to know how to code, because I saw some opportunity. Back then, when I start coding, I still not sure like what I want, like what I really looking for, like in my career. Like, do I still want to be a recruiter or a full-time software engineer? But I believe technical knowledge is really useful for almost everything. So let's say if you want to be a data analyst, you can. If you want to be a product manager, you can be a technical product manager. And let's say if I want to go back as a recruiter, having technical knowledge can make me a better technical recruiter, of course. And I realize technical knowledge is very useful, because let's say right now in the internet, the website all is everywhere, right? And
Right.
the amount of people who can read code is very low. So it's like we use the product, but we cannot. read the alphabet of the internet, the alphabet of the IT world. So I think learning how to code is essential as learning ABCs for me. So whatever the outcome will be, I believe this will be useful for me. But turns out I enjoy working as a software engineer. And I don't know, maybe later if I have more developed curiosity, let's say into technical PM, maybe I could be one. But technical knowledge, because once you think in code or in programming language, it's kind of hard to get rid of it, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's yeah, like when you ride a motorbike, when you learn how to ride a motorbike or car, how to drive a car, maybe it will be difficult at first, but once you get used to it, it will be a lifetime skill.
Right, right. Wow, that's very valuable insights. Things before you actually switching careers, just try it and be curious. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, we're almost jumping to the last question. Do you have any word of advice for anyone inspiring to work in software engineering or maybe taking a path similar as you?
So yeah, first of all, if you really want to switch your career, you sometimes it's better to know like what is the end result that you want. Let's say if you want to build a company like as your North Star, let's say in the end of your productive age, you want to build a startup, let's say, um, you can question to give a question to yourself like, is this will makes me closer to the path that I'm looking for? Or let's say if you want to be fully a software developer, you can contemplate like ask to yourself like, is this the work environment that I'm looking for? Like I said, there's not a lot of talking but a lot of thinking, like, is this suitable for you? Because in the end of the day, I think work is what makes you it's better to work on the job that you engage, to the works that you enjoy doing. So I think switching to be a software engineer just because of the money is not the right reason, because I believe every field in career, if you dedicate it enough, the money will follow your value, will follow your dedication.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's also okay if you are like me, like don't know what you want to do in the end of the day, but just curious on how to code
Yeah,
and
yeah.
learn it. I think
Just do it, right?
just do it because it's knowledge. It's like learn how to drive.
Right, right. Wow, that's very deep and valuable insight that you mentioned about the advice. So, yeah, one more last question. Where can people find you and learn more about you?
Okay. I have my Medium at Falizer and
Okay,
GitHub.
we will put it in the box description below.
Okay, at Falizer, and also Twitter. Sometimes I update things on that, like make some thread on how to uh make a good CV, and yeah, that's my main platform on share my thought.
Okay, and also your LinkedIn, right?
Yes, on my LinkedIn, uh, Falah Sultan Alizar, and also the username Paul on LinkedIn. It's only 3 words, so it's kind of rare.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, great. We'll put all those links into the description box and you can check out in the caption. So yeah, Fala, this has been a fantastic podcast interview. Thank you so much for being with me today, sharing your valuable insights and career journey. I'm sure everybody will learn so many insights from this, and thank you so much. I'll see you next time.
Okay, thank you, Aji, for the opportunity. Have a
Thank
good day.
you.